Welcome back to And Both. Today, I'm chatting with Nomiki Petrolla, the founder of Theanna, and someone that I've watched build in a way that feels really thoughtful, really human, and very much in the spirit of figuring it out as you go. She's a mom of four, a former product leader in tech, and now a founder who is helping women get their ideas out of their heads and into the world without pretending any of this happens in perfect conditions. We talk about what it's actually like to build a company while raising little kids, how AI is changing the early stages of entrepreneurship, and why so many women are choosing to create work that finally fits the rest of their lives. We also get into the stuff that doesn't always make it into the startup highlight reel. The 8:30 p.m. work sessions, the pressure women carry around control, and the reality that sometimes your big idea is squeezed between dinner, bedtime, and everything else that you have to do in the day. We cover a lot of ground inside of this episode, and it brought up some things that I have been thinking of. We recorded this at the middle of December, and it was actually a time when I was thinking about really how to slow down and take some time off. And so it was a very poignant time for me to have this conversation, and I'm excited for you to hear it. Here's Nomiki. Welcome to And Both, a podcast about what it really looks like to put yourself on the list while raising kids and doing all the other things life asks of you. I'm your host, Ashley Blackington, and on this show, you'll hear conversations with moms who are figuring it out in their own ways, plus a few solo episodes from me from time to time. It's not about having all the answers, it's about sharing stories, learning from each other, and knowing we don't have to choose between either or when we're living in the middle of and both. Let's get into today's episode. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the And Both podcast. I am here today with Nomiki Petrolla. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm here with Nomiki Petrolla, the founder of so many things, which we will get into. But first of all, I just wanted to say welcome.
Thank you, Ashley. I'm excited to be here.
I'm really excited for this conversation because I feel like you're constantly iterating on building really cool things, and although things are expanding and growing, you're still staying really attached to who you're building for and the intention behind it. So before we kick into that, how about if you let people know what you'd like them to know about you, and then we'll dive into all that stuff.
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. My name is Nomiki, and I founded a company recently called Theanna, and that company helps women tech founders to build, launch, and grow their startups. Outside of being an entrepreneur and being neurospicy and trying to figure it all out, I'm a mom. I have 4 kids under 9 and a husband and 2 dogs. And my life is full. So much is going on all the time. So I'm excited to dig in today.
It's awesome. Yeah, I love the term neurospicy. I just really...
I mean, we're all on some kind of spectrum. Like, what is it? Who knows? But we're so spicy in all the ways. And I think entrepreneurs are just laced with it.
Mm-hmm. When I was in grad school for OT, you have to learn about a lot of different diagnoses and things like that. And I remember my professor standing at the front of the class and was like, listen, you're going to read every single one of these, and you're going to think that you have every single one of these because there are so many things that overlap in there. It was like, we are not in this, like, let's diagnose ourselves kind of moment. We're in a learning and observing moment. Because I was like, you flip through the first few diagnoses and you're like, wait, do I have?
Should I get on meds? Do I need a psychiatrist? What should I do right now? Oh my God, I had that fight, but then I was happy 5 minutes ago. I'm like, no, that's just being an entrepreneur.
Right? Yes. And it's so true. I think like we have so much information that is coming at us all the time that it's really easy to be like, oh, wait, is this what's going on? And so I think that's just something that I always try to remember is like, do I have this going on? Am I overwhelmed? Am I this? And
usually it's yes to all of those things. It's what you pick out of them to like focus on.
Exactly. So Theanna, tell me about that, because full disclosure, am a member of Theanna because I happen to also be a female tech founder.
Girl, I know you're a member. You were one of my first customers.
I was. Yeah. And what I really loved is the idea of creating a space for women specifically, because I don't know if anyone has seen pictures of tech founders on the internet, but like, they're not us.
They ain't us. So we're like our own little group over there. Yeah. So Theanna started because I've been in tech for a long time, for 15 years, and majority of people that I was surrounded by building product for and sitting at the seat with the founder and engineers and trying to understand what is the product that we should be building, it was mostly with men. I mean, pretty much 95% were all men, engineers and founders and, people that were funded and the space and venture capital. Majority of the companies that I worked with had some venture backing, and they were all men. I think there's one that was a married couple, and so the woman was the CEO of the second company, but she was really the outlier. And what I realized was, like, going through my life and I have 4 brothers, being surrounded by this male energy for a long time actually benefited me in so many ways, because it gave me this insight to, like, see how they made decisions. But what I realized was, like, women don't have the same access that I had. And so I'm like, this is silly, because when I saw how women made decisions, it was very different than how men made decisions. But when they're put in a space that gives them this, like, opportunity to learn and actually grow and build without judgment and without feeling like, am I doing this wrong? Even though we always think that, they were able to achieve more in that space. And so Theanna was really born for where I have 3 daughters. I'm like, we need to figure out how to help more women build companies. I mean, the stat that I love to nail in is that in the past 5 years, our growth for women-led businesses has grown 68%. So we now make up half of businesses created every year. And that's only going to get more and more, right? And especially with the lean in and lean out debacle going on with Sheryl Sandberg, everyone's saying they're leaning out, we're less ambitious. It's actually not that, because I've seen the trend for entrepreneurship that we're not less ambitious. We're choosing to take ownership of what we want to do, and we're choosing other paths, whether that be stay at home, whether that be building a company, whether that be going for a different type of company that you work for, right? And I think that is just going to skyrocket, where women are going to have majority of businesses owned in just a couple of years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I think that the one thing is that I think about in meeting other women, like being a part of in-person communities and meetups and conferences and meeting people online and stuff like that, is that there's so many women that I've met in the entrepreneurship space who were at this point in their life where they said, I have all of this experience and I have all of this knowledge and I have an idea about something that I could do that could help, whether that is a tech company, whether it's consulting, whether it's whatever that might look like. But they're also navigating this experience of, I either want to have a family, I have young kids, childcare is a mess, all of this stuff. No system is designed for someone to be able to do 100% of things 100% well all of the time. And so people are saying entrepreneurship is scary. You're taking a risk and you're diving in. But what's scarier is feeling like I'm never doing anything right.
No control over your outcomes, no control over your life. And that's 10 times scarier, being like, I'm beholden to someone else's decision to decide what my life becomes. That's crazy. That I mean, maybe not everyone feels that's crazy, but I feel that's psychotic. Like, no, thank you. I do not want that. I want to control my own outcomes.
Yeah. It's not even, yes, control outcomes, control your career trajectory, control your finances, control like what you put out in the world. And I think that when I became a parent, for me, that there was this feeling of like, I don't want to be a link in somebody else's chain, because I want to do something that drives progress, that I can say I contributed this into the world, much like I contributed children into the world. And for my kids to say, listen, like, this is really, I don't know what I want to do. Do I want to go work in an office? Do I want to start my own business? Whatever. But I think that it's important for people to see different options and different opportunities. And
AI boom too, like, the future of work is just going to keep evolving, right? Like, corporate lifestyle is not the norm. It's not going to be the norm. We're going to like the rise of entrepreneurship in general, whether it be a solopreneur life, whether it be, consultancy or building a company that has many employees. Like, everything is just going to change with the evolution of technology, and we have to be ready to adapt.
yeah, I think too, yeah, like the AI piece, I feel like right now is still figuring itself out in terms
Oh,
of
yeah.
like where people go. But you've been really pro AI in terms of how it can help people get through those first few muddy steps of entrepreneurship, how you can start to put the pieces together and how you can eliminate stuff. Like when I started my company, it was a mess. AI wasn't mainstream. It wasn't
Yeah.
in all of these parts of things. And I look at people now who are able to put up platforms in a day and actually get it into testing and having people use it and getting feedback on it. And I'm like, it's amazing. And that's like only a few years ago that all of this has changed.
It's crazy. When I started Theanna, we started development of November last year, November 2024. So we're 13 months in from the day of development starting. And the AI was not strong enough for me to build on my own. And I ended up spending 100 grand over a 12-month period to get the product to where it needed to be, which is still less than a lot of people spend. But I design everything and I do all the QA. So I cut some areas where I could, inject myself to cut the cost. But back then, 13 months ago, long enough for me to build my own. And so I would say probably in the last 6 months is where we started to see, being like, oh, wait a minute, I can now do XYZ. Let's see what that becomes. And so today I do all the front end using AI. And then I write all the requirements, I give everything to my engineers. We have 3 engineers. They're doing back end work. They're taking what I told them exactly what to do because I've already tested and I know what people want. Now just go build the thing and move fast. I actually hired a designer because I didn't have any time to design things anymore. And I wanted to see someone else's brain on work just to get like a different sense of how are other people seeing it that are designers. And it got to the point where I was like, she was great, but she couldn't match my pace. And I was like, forget it. Like, I can't wait a week to get a result. I'm just going to do this in 2 hours when my kids are in sleep. And so now that's what I do. And it's been so helpful. I don't do any back end coding, but we use Claude Code for all the front end and I can hand it over and we can move really fast.
I love that. I also want to point out the fact that like you're like building the front end of this and doing all of these things and iterating while your kids are sleeping, which is just absolute peak motherhood. It's like, listen, it's going to take me so long to figure out how to explain this to you and to talk about this and to share the vision and all that stuff. It's like, all right, it's going to be a snack time for you.
When their head is on that pillow, it's 8:31 till about 1 a.m. and I'm going ham.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that there's a lot of to be said for that being a pocket of time in your life when it's just that is what it is. And it's like when you have a newborn, like your business is in a newborn, early toddler
Yeah.
stage, and you're like, I know that right now I kind of feel like I'm
Like, does
burning
sleep exist? No, it does not exist. Not. I just
more
back at
coffee.
the gym again, and my husband's like, "Hey, you took like 3 months off." I was like, "I know." I was like, "I need to get back right now." It's like tearing on me and my mental state and everything. And so I finally just got back to it. He was like, "Hey, let's not take a 3-month break again." I'm like, "I know," because I'm just better mentally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that I mean, in the process of building Theanna, because Theanna's not your first company.
It's my fit, but it's my first tech company. Yeah.
So what in the evolution from first company to now, like what has changed for you as a founder?
I think it's less about the tactical things and the software that's available. It's more about what I know I want in the future.
Hmm.
Like, I finally feel like I have clarity into what my core mission is, why that mission exists. When do I say yes? When do I say no? Does it align to like who I am and what I want to lead? A lot of it has to do with being a mother.
Hmm.
Like, a lot of the decisions I'm in the past few years that I've made comes down to, well, what do I want in my life to feel full? And it doesn't really come down to all the things that I want to build. It's, well, what does this mean for my life? What does this mean for my family? What does this mean for the people that I serve and my customers who all are also experiencing very similar things that I'm experiencing? And I think it's more about that I feel like conviction in myself as an adult woman. I'm 38, and I think right now is a stable time for more women to come into their own, because we've seen some shit. maybe we've had a kid or two and we're like, and now we know like what we don't want, that finding that path is a lot more clear. And so I think over time of building the first company where I was just like, I just want to make money all day, every day. I'm going to do all this work and never sleep because that's all I want to do. I want to pay for my basement renovation. So I'm going to work X amount of hours. So I make this much money and I can pay for that. And so that's kind of what led me when I was an entrepreneur first, because I am a workaholic. I love working. So I was like, well, if I love working, I might as well make money doing it. And that was my driver when I was younger, as like, how much money can I make to put into the bank or to get what I want financially? But now, of course, I still love money, but it's less about that. It's more about, well, what is the impact that I want to have at a grander scale? And what is my ambition and how does it align with that mission? So it's more ethereal.
Yeah, I feel like when you become a mom, you definitely get into that 30,000-foot view more than everything that's right in front of your face.
100%.
Or at least that was my experience. It was
It was mine too.
like, oh, I am not the last link in the chain anymore. Like what I do impacts
everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone.
And how I feel and all of this stuff, like it's a lot of pressure and you don't realize all of the things that are going to come into that and into the fold when you become a parent. But agreed, like the motivations become, I don't know, they're bigger, but there's a little bit of space in there.
Yeah.
You're playing chess now.
You're playing chess. Exactly. That's a great way to say this is not checkers anymore.
Yeah.
And there's so much strategy that goes into it. Like every day, my husband and I, he's in an early stage startup. We'll talk about, the work and the things that we're doing. And for some reason, we both have this strategic mindset. And so if we're standing in the kitchen, this happened last night, we like take back and we're like, well, what does that actually mean for this? And like, well, we need to fix this. And then we keep going back. In order for that to fix, that has to be fixed and that has to be fixed, just generally. And then you look at this like, well, strategically, if we were to go back 10 steps, how does this impact everything else? And I think that really comes from experience, like actually going through things where you want to fix the root or the foundation and you just don't want to patch things anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Because patching is not permanent. You want to change the overall structure.
Yeah.
Theanna, it's growing like crazy. You have little kids.
Yeah.
How does the day-to-day look like for you, knowing that there's like physical growth happening and then there's all of this company growth and stuff like that. Like how do you fit into the mix of all this?
I like just fly around everywhere. How do I fit in? So the company is growing, which is great. We're expanding to B2B right now. So Theanna's like crew will always live and be the core. But my ambition is actually to change the landscape for idea stage entrepreneurs to become like a data intelligence company. So we're going after universities now, and strategically, how am I leveraging everything that we build for women and building tech companies to how does that impact a broader scale? And so I'm constantly thinking about that. I'm literally driving to meet with professors and learning how they're tracking, their students and what we can do to deliver results for them. And while that's all going on, I'm changing poop diapers and praying that she'll be potty trained in a week and talking about that we need to get our 3-year-old a new bicycle for her birthday next month, and watching the kids and taking them to gymnastics and piano and jujitsu and tumbling and all the things that go into it. There is not that much time to really just sit, if I'm honest. And my husband and I are constantly on this, the logistical gear, like what happens here. And it's very precision oriented in our time allocation and the systems that we have to put in place for a family this large to actually run. And so I try, because we've done that, we have 4 kids and we've had them for all 4 of them for a little over 3 years now. We've learned what to and what not to do and who's better at something than the other person. And we kind of hand things off, and, we're playing teams here. There's so many, you have to be on a lot of the time. There's not much sitting on the couch of just sitting on the couch. That doesn't really exist anymore. So, we're moving every day, all the time, every hour.
Just one foot in front of the other.
It is loud in our house. It's very loud, which is actually kind of fun too. I mean, we're sad when some of the kids are not here, if they're with their friends or something, and we're like, oh, silence is nice for a moment, but at the same time, like that's what makes this house so full, right?
Yeah.
So I guess we thrive in chaos, which I never would have said that until now, but now that I'm talking about it out loud.
Yeah. No, I think it's a very real thing. Like you get attenuated to what your life sounds like. Like my kids, this is the first September, my youngest went into kindergarten. And it's a very weird thing
Yeah.
because I've always had a kid home with me. They did
Mhm.
part-time preschool and the rest of the time they were home. So like I've done work meetings with a kid sitting on my lap. My thing in my house is like, please do not appear on a Zoom call half naked. Like that's the conversation that I have to have. Not like, please don't come into my office. It's like, please
Just
don't come in.
make sure your diaper's on. We don't need your butt cheeks all over the internet.
Right? Like
Sounds like you
mom's
have a
recording.
nudist kid like one of mine. My fourth is a nudist. She just runs around naked. I'm like, girl,
Yep.
some clothes on. She's like,
Yep.
no. Like, you know what? You do you. You be that free spirit, okay? I'm gonna nurture
Yes.
that with some underwear.
Yes, exactly. I'm like, if someone is in our house to like, work on the electrical or whatever, like you have to have clothing on. The rest of the time, nudist
You
colony will
do
turn
you,
up the
my
heat.
friend. You do
Yeah.
you. You be free. Yeah.
But it's that so now they're gone, right? During the day. And, it's great because I can be in a meeting and I can record a podcast and there's like pockets of I know time where there's silence between school calls and all of that
Yeah.
stuff. But I found that after all of these years of having all of these kids home all the time, like I have to turn on the dryer in order to be able to work.
No, really?
Yeah, like not having any noise in
Well,
my
you need to get a
house.
dog or two. The dogs bark like crazy right in front. I'm like, I'm gonna have an aneurysm from the silence to the barking and me. I'm like, okay, all
Yeah.
right, you need one of those, but I suggest a smaller one that isn't as loud as ours.
Well, my dog is just a potato. He's like a 90-pound yellow lab that just lays on the couch. So like he'll come in here and lay down, but I can't have him in here when I
Real
record.
fast, I'm going back to sleep.
Yeah, because he snores. So I'm like,
You can't be in here.
like, I would like for you to be here, but you can't be in here. And then I have a cat that's a ninja that just, silently appears. Like she'll come across my lap.
Oh, a ninja. I was like, what did you call it? Like flying across the room.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But I think that like for me, and I don't know, it sounds like you sort of have a similar experience, is like you get to a point where it's not like 1-to-1 anymore. It's the ratio is so much bigger, which helps this element of like, I cannot possibly control everything. So I have to get super specific on what I can control.
Oh, 100%. I have a rolling list there's so much that happens every day that sometimes I can't keep up with the things that happen.
Hmm.
That's a very real problem where I have a rolling list in my phone because if anything, the phone is with me no matter where I go, and it's not the computer and it's not Theanna and it's my phone. So I have a rolling list of every week of these are the things that I have to do, and I rank them top to bottom of the things that are priorities. And because things move so fast, it's typical, and this happened last night, it's typical that I only am able to get 1 or 2 things done a day from that list. But as long as I keep chipping it away, I feel like I'm making movement. And some of them are weighted different in how much time. Like the one that I had to do last night took me over an hour to do, but it had to be done by a specific time and a non-negotiable on when it was delivered. And I think I've had to really say no to a lot of things or like, that's not a priority, or I can do that in bulk another time. And my dream is actually to have someone be able to hire someone to help me with these things. Like I decided to spend money on 3 engineers, which is more important right now to get the product to where it needs to be. And then hopefully one day, and hopefully in the new future that I can say, hey, I need like an assistant. I need someone to help me tackle some of these things that I don't have time for anymore. Because now when you're growing, you're not just in the business. Now you have to work on the business. And
Hmm.
especially now that we're going B2B, I'm on sales calls all the time. I'm learning and I have to be doing that. No one else can do that in my place right now. But that means other things start to drop. Well, how do I actually fix that? So yeah, I guess like just every day is a new evolution. It's just the bicycle just keeps going. And sometimes it's in a circle and sometimes it's down a path.
Yeah, it's this constant negotiation with yourself and with what has to get done, and I feel like, especially when you have kids, it's that I can't not do this group of things, which becomes the
Um,
guardrails around your time. And so when you have young kids, when you have a
yeah.
lot of kids, when you have, whatever, when you have any kids,
Yeah.
some people it's a cat, like, whatever.
But there's still responsibility that comes with that. And like what I found too is that, some people, how are you doing it with 4 kids? And I'm like, you don't understand. Like when you have one, it feels like it's the hardest it's ever going to be. But then when
Hmm.
you have another one, you're like, that's the hardest it's ever going to be. And you don't know any better. So until it's not that I am better because I have 4 kids. It's just that the hard just starts to like mold into something else and the priorities shift. But it's in terms of like difficulty, it's the exact same thing in my mind because really you're trained to think, how do I manage this as my responsibility in this time block? And then the more you have or whatever the responsibilities, whether it be kids, cats, dogs, whatever, it just kind of evolves until like, well, now these are the non-negotiables and what we have to actually focus on. And it's not that how are you doing it? I'm doing it the same exact way that you're doing it. You would also do that if you had more kids too. You
Hmm.
just know what's right in front of you.
Yeah, exactly. And I think too, like, there's definitely different stages of life. And
Yes.
I think the disservice that's done, especially to women entrepreneurs, is this idea that like you're supposed to birth all of these things at the same time, right? You're supposed to like you have a baby and it's like this is the thing that you do, and you figure out how to be a mom and you figure out how to raise a baby. But somehow, somewhere along the line, like it's also supposed to be like, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you can do that anytime. It's like, you really can't.
No, I I I think, I had those companies when I was having children and I would have never succeeded in those other 4 in the long run. It would have never happened. And it wasn't until after kids, after being a vessel of breastfeeding and waking up in the middle of the night, it wasn't until that stuff was done. I think my daughter turned 1 and she, all the things, the bottles were gone and we kind of weaned off a couple other things. It wasn't until then where I felt this clarity of like, okay, I actually have time to think now where I don't have a kid on my hip everywhere we go because they can walk now. And I'm not constantly worried about what's on the floor so they don't choke on something because they're old enough to know the difference now. All those things gave me space in my brain to actually dedicate to a company that I can give my all to. I
Hmm.
would have not been able to do that in the midst of birthing children. It just would
Yeah.
have been impossible because your mind is only on how do I make sure this child lives? Like literally, how do I make sure that they're fed, their diapers changed, that all the siblings are taken care of, that the meals are, cooked and the house is somewhat clean, picked up rather. My husband's getting attention. Like, how do you make sure all of that's taken care of? And that's all you're focused on when you're birthing children. That's it.
Hmm.
And not to mention, how do I make sure that if I had postpartum anxiety, I didn't have depression, but I had anxiety. And how do I make sure that I'm taking care of me? Because I was not in a good place after my first and second kid. We had severe health issues with our children. One went through neurosurgery. Like, it was right as an infant. It was just, everything is there. Like the anxiety was there. I would have never been able to do what I'm doing today if it was years ago. It just would have
Yeah.
been impossible.
And I think that's something that people need to hear as often as possible, especially, because if you're at a point where, you're saying, I really want to have more control of my career. I really want to be able to like choose my own destiny, so to speak, because I'm going through this period of time where I'm, pregnant or having kids or my kids are really young or whatever. And this is the way forward. It's not going to be the same as it would be if your kids were a little bit older. And that's not to say that you need to wait until your kids are a little bit older.
Yeah.
That means that there's a different set of expectations, a different level of timeline expectation is that one foot in front of the other moment.
100%. There's women that raise capital 7, 8 months pregnant. And I'm like, damn, girl, that like power to you. That wasn't a path that I feel like I would have gone down. But that to show that the variety of how you make decisions and when you make them can vary. It's like no one situation is the best for everyone. So the fact that I waited till after all my kids, that doesn't mean that's the best for everyone. Like
Yeah.
You have to be able to know yourself and what you're able to take on mentally, emotionally, physically. Like every situation is different, but that just happened to be the path that was best for me and our family.
Yeah.
And to take on the risk. Like
Yeah.
there's risk involved too. And financially, as you can imagine, 4 kids is expensive.
I do know a little.
It's not cheap. And financially, we had to be in a good place where I could take on a risky job, starting a company from the ground up. To be like, well, if I don't make any money, what happens? And so I had like a lot of internal pressure to be like, I can't be in that position. I have to make money. Like, so if I'm going to make money, what the hell am I going to build that makes the most sense to make money from? And there's a lot of risk involved there. So like, don't just like jump ship because you're like, I want to build a company. Make sure that you've got some savings, take care of yourself. Our expenses are only getting up. You know, like everything is more expensive. Freaking milk and eggs it's nuts. It's nuts. So yeah, there's a lot of risk involved too. And that's something that should be weighed.
Yeah. I could have raised money. I think I could have raised money at the opportune time for me would have been when I was like 7 months pregnant, because that was like, I was one of those people that was like, let's lay waste.
Yeah, why not? I'm already in this space right now. I might as well just tack it on.
But I wasn't, I hadn't started building, when any of them were at that stage. But like me towards the end of a pregnancy would be like when the basement would get cleaned out and like it would be like
the purges.
It's the best.
The house has never been so clean than between 7 and 9 months pregnant.
Yeah.
Like, wait, what did I just find here? Give it away. Like, we don't need this shit. We can use that. I'm like, no, we can't. If we haven't touched it in 12 months, we do not need it.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no holds barred, no whatever. But the things that you do find and you do hold on to, those are like, this I will have for the rest of my life. And you'll have it for the rest of your life. But in that moment, like, pull up a dumpster because we are getting super specific on what we need and what we don't need.
We're going to go every single room and we're going to do it in like 6 hours. We're going to go fast.
And then I'm going to go lay down.
We don't have the whole weekend. This is our time block and we have 30 minutes per room and this is what we're doing.
Oh my God. Yes.
My God, you're bringing back memories of my purges.
It's the best. It is just, that was one of those things my husband was like, I really love this because I tend to hold on to things and he doesn't. And so, he'd be like, oh, are we doing this now? Like, this is okay. Let me go get.
How do I support you? Do you want the big black trash bags or the little white ones?
Yeah, exactly.
Bring me everything.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh, that it's so wild. And it's so wild how you can like drop back into feeling that. Like, it's just.
Isn't it weird? Motherhood is one weird feeling. There's a lot of feelings that go into it. So many things. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Today's episode is brought to you by Dovetail, the app that's changing the way families navigate caregiving. If you're juggling your kids' schedules, checking in on your parents, and trying to manage your own needs, Dovetail is made for you. I built Dovetail as a clinician and caregiver who saw firsthand how overwhelming this role can be and how much lighter it feels when the care is shared. Download Dovetail now on iOS, Google Play, coming soon.
Sometimes, I don't know if you ever feel this, but you have 4, don't you? Yeah. Yeah, you have 4. My husband and I sometimes will be sitting and for some reason, we have a nice size home, but they all want to be in one space with us. So like there's 6 of us in a very small space. And my husband and I will look at each other and like, are they ours? Like, are they really ours? Did we birth these kids? Like, it feels like they just like popped in here and like, are we old enough to have them? How are we responsible for so many beings? When did we become like true adults? Like, wow. And it's so surreal. That happens frequently. It's very surreal to be like, oh my gosh, and your personality is mine, and that's your kid, and that's my kid, and oh, that comes from your side. And it's really interesting to just like watch it like happen in real time.
Yeah. I will tell you that the thing that has blown my mind the most, like, yes, they're here and all of this stuff. My oldest is 12 and we are eye to eye. She walks in the room in height. We are eye to eye.
I'm still the boss.
And I'm like, what happened And it's just like she's just gone through this like crazy growth spurt.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? Like I carried you around. I held your whole butt in my hand for
Yeah.
like 2 years. And now you're like a human-sized
Yeah. Like,
human.
what is that?
Mm-hmm. And my 10-year-old is not that far behind. And
Mhm.
I just like when they are like life size, they're not
Yeah.
like little size, they're like life size. And they're like, she's like, Mom, can I borrow these shoes? And I'm like, huh?
What?
What are
No,
we?
no, no, you can't go back to the toddler section. Get
What
out
is
of here.
happening?
Yeah. It is so weird.
It is weird. But I do think that the carryover between motherhood and entrepreneurship, I think that is, it's so valuable for people to understand, because I think that when we go into motherhood, there's this, you don't know what you don't know, which is
Yeah.
why there are 8 billion people on this planet, right? You don't know what you don't know. You learn, you figure it out, you screw some stuff up, you don't, you read a book, you don't, you look at the internet, you don't, like
Yeah.
whatever it is. And I think that I would not be the entrepreneur that I am if I was not a mom. Like, I think I would be much
A
more
billion
cautious.
percent.
Yeah, like I would be the person who is seeking another degree in order to feel some sort of validation before taking that on. After having kids, I'm like, well, I didn't know how to keep a human alive, and I did it a couple of
Yeah.
times.
I figured
So
something out.
let's
Yeah.
figure it out.
Yeah, I agree. I think, motherhood changes you as an individual, but it also gives you perspective on the decisions that you make, and you make them differently because you have bigger things at risk or at stake, and you know how to prioritize and faster. I think
Fast, yeah.
because you've seen so much, and it just gives you a different way of like really conceptualizing what's in front of you, what can that be? And it gives you more permission, at least in my experience, to say no to stuff.
Hmm.
Like, eh, that doesn't align anymore. Like, I don't really want to go down that path. And I had someone say to me when I was in Montana, I'd be like, wow, I loved how you just said no. And you know exactly. I'm like, well, I don't have a choice. Like, you just have to be steadfast. It's just the way it is.
Hmm. Yeah, because nothing is nebulous anymore. It
Yeah.
is like, this is a possibility or not a possibility, or like you said, I've got 7 things riding on this yes or no
Yeah,
that somebody
exactly.
else might not be able to
Time.
understand.
Who has time anymore? When you're a mom, you don't have time. Like, time
Uh-huh.
is not a thing. Like, they're like, it just goes so fast. I mean, we talk about it as mothers when you see your kids growing so quickly and you're like, oh, where did it literally go? How
Uh-huh.
did we get here so quickly when yesterday I was breastfeeding? Like, this makes no sense to me. I can feel myself in that time, literally rocking in the chair, like the sensations of going through it and literally the letdowns of breastfeeding. I can somehow put myself in that mental state where I can still feel those things. So how did we get here to this place? And so when it comes to business, you're like, okay, time moves really quickly. If I really want to achieve X, this gives me this amount of time. And this is what time actually does in a short amount of time. So like, what are we capable of?
Hmm.
And you're pretty much capable of anything, in my opinion. Like, it's just a matter of like, do you put the actions towards it every day? Just like
Yeah.
raising kids.
Yeah. Taking the steps, first of all, figuring out what the steps are, breaking it
Mhm.
all down, and then doing one, and then doing another, and then doing
Yeah,
another. And it's just that keep on keeping on until you get to the
exactly.
end.
Exactly. And I think too, I love that you just said that it's not actually trying to reach the mountaintop, it's just trying to get to the next level. Like,
Hmm.
if you focus on what's right in front of you, you're more likely to get that next step rather than being like, well, that's unachievable because I want to I want to build a unicorn company. Well, I'm not just going to go from here to unicorn. That doesn't make sense. So like, okay, well, what do I have to do? And how do I what are the things that I have to do exactly right now, the next month, the next 3 months? And like, how is that going to fall into place? And things never go as you plan, just like raising kids.
Yeah. And I think too, for people to know also, is that there's so much of what we see now, especially when it comes to entrepreneurship, is everyone's polished product.
Oh,
When you're looking to something else, what was the quote I heard? It was like, don't compare your back end to someone else's front end.
I love that so much. I'm stealing that, Ashley.
Yeah.
That's great.
And I think that's what happens, is that when you're like, I have this idea and I want to do this. And then you see someone who it seems like they have, like had kids, started a company, renovated their house, like all of this stuff, like in
Yeah.
like a 8-week period. It's like you're really seeing the highlight reel.
This is exactly what I experienced this yesterday because I
Mm.
follow this person on Instagram and I've been following them for a while, like a couple years, because I admire this person. This person found me because of my ads and followed me. I was like, oh my God, let's get on a call, because I was like, you're reaching out to me? And I was so excited. And then on this call, what they wanted to talk about was that they needed help because they didn't know how I was selling and growing the company so quickly. And I'm like, what do you mean? And I was so caught off guard because I'm like, everything that's into the world shows that you're 100 times bigger than I am. And it was like in terms of company, not personally. And I was like, wait a minute. And so it brings you back to like, okay, you are actually in the place that you're supposed to be. Just keep going.
Yeah.
And you should be proud of those steps that you take, because you're right. The highlight reel is so fake.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we're all humans, right? Like I tell my kids this all the time, like, you have to put your pants on one leg at a time, because even people with one leg put their pants on one leg at a time. And they're always like, wait, what? I'm like, it's an OT joke. And they're like, oh, okay.
Okay.
I'm like, Mom, that's
They'll
weird.
get
And I'm
it
like,
at some point.
mm-hmm,
But it's true. One step at a time.
mm-hmm. So with the growth and development of Theanna, which is all very real and all happening really quickly, which is amazing. And I totally see it, right? It's like, it's one of those products or it's one of those companies that when you were first putting it out there, I was like, this is brilliant in terms of the, like, why doesn't this already exist? And
Yeah.
why hasn't this already existed? So, kudos from the rooftops here on that. But have you seen, like, in the 13 months, have you seen the entrepreneurship, the people that are coming in? Like, have you seen changes in
Yes.
that?
I've seen a lot of pattern shifts. And I think the more we move towards building software, and like having programming and types of companies come through, I'm starting to see movement in like people building and actually getting to a result. Before, I wasn't able to see that. And now that we've put more structure into the company, into the software and the things that are coming out, I'm able to see the patterns even just on phone calls and the results that they're getting. So it's been really interesting to see that. I'm also seeing more people sign up that were not already quote unquote tech founders, that are consulting or therapists or in healthcare. And they're like, I already have a successful business. Now I want to build the software as a component because I need to scale. And that's the only way I can scale. And so I'm starting to see some of those patterns too, which is really interesting. I just did a data pool for one of our partners, and 19% of the companies are healthcare inside of Theanna. And I'm not surprised by that, because there's a lot of women that want to build for women. So it's feminine healthcare, not all of it, but a lot of it. But out of 27 industries, for 19% to be for that one, I think that's going to be really exciting to see what comes out of, the businesses. So I am seeing stuff, and it's exciting to get more feedback on what tools they want us to build inside of Theanna.
Mm-hmm.
I did a sneak peek of that yesterday, because on Monday we have a feedback session on some of the new features that are being rolled out. And so that's really fun to see, like, oh, what is actually going to help them get to the result? Because we're a founder first mentality. Like, we want to build things that are going to get you results. So it's been really, really fun to actually turn into like from a community into like a true software company.
Yeah, I think that's awesome too, especially like having that responsiveness for what people are building. And I'm not surprised at all, because I don't know if it's because I'm sort of adjacent in the care tech space, but femtech is, I feel like there's so many different people that I meet with at, events or stuff like that are like, I'm building this. Like yesterday I was at lunch with, I think there were 6 of us. There were 6 companies. It was like a founder investor lunch, and 3 were building in either healthcare or femtech.
Yeah. Well, you're technically healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think women are just tired of being ignored in life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, can we just fix this problem? This is getting ridiculous. It's 2025. It's actually ridiculous that we have such a disparity in resources still especially in healthcare. Like that's crazy that it took us to 2025 to actually put some energy towards it, where people have money now that they can fund these companies. It's just, that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah,
But yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
And it's these platforms too, like I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but the company that was selling off period data.
Oh, well, yeah. Those
Yeah.
two kids, pardon my
Yeah.
French.
So selling off that information, right? And now there's also this time of like, what is going on with healthcare? What is going on with policy? What is going on with public health? And people are saying like, wait a minute, I can't rely on someone else to help me out with this. And
Yeah.
also there's no resources for perimenopause.
No one's going to save
Yeah.
us. We just got to figure it out.
Mm-hmm. Perimenopause, infant loss, that's another one that is really, I have seen a lot of that, a lot of miscarriage and infant loss support and things like that. So these communities, and it's this idea of, I think it's the stuff that like when we get together for coffee or you catch up with a friend or whatever, it's those things that we talk about, but our lives are so busy that sometimes it leads to, I need to join this community so that if I'm doing a 10-minute commute on the train in the morning, I can just check in with people there.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Gives me a lot of hope.
It does. I think there's a lot of people, women, that are like, let's just take over. Like,
Mhm.
and I kind of want to be the ringleader to be like, let's all fucking take over. At this
Wait,
point,
come in here. I'll help you build it.
like, please, I want to help you take over the world. I need to put that on a t-shirt.
Yes, exactly. So what do you envision for the future, given all these pieces, who's building, where we're building, all of this? What do you want to see out in the world?
Honestly, I just want to see more people take control over what they're capable of and kind of reduce the amount of fear that they've had of, can I do it? Should I do it? Why would I do it? People are going to judge me, and kind of remove all those things. Because once you're able to take off that cloak and this fear cloak, you're really capable of so much more than you gave yourself credit for. And I think if we're able to do that and people step into their own more, we're going to see a lot of ingenuity and innovation. And I think, passion from people that might have felt like they're on the sidelines, over their lives. And yeah, I'm just, I see it every day. It's really inspiring. Like anytime I talk to someone, I'm like, fuck yes, like you're going to do it. And it's just, I want to see more of it. I want to see it every day. Yeah.
Do you think that the funding, I think a lot of times what people talk about is when they talk about funding when it comes to venture capital, but in terms of funding opportunities and options and different ways to go about doing that, do you feel like that is also, I mean, that's long overdue for a revolution, but do you feel like that's coming?
Chaos? No, I don't think it's coming. I genuinely do not think venture capital is going to be turned on its head for another 10 or 20 years.
Yeah.
And so because of that, I kind of lean into sustainability. Build a company that makes enough money that takes over your salary, that you can now be at home, that you don't have to report to someone else, that has an impact on your mini community that can expand. Because 99% of the businesses are that anyway. So reducing the amount of like, oh, I have to go get venture to actually start something, and just focus on what you can control. And once you start doing that and you actually solve problems, things will come to fruition. So that's kind of the song that I sing to everyone, because if you want venture and you want to do all that, you still have to build the company that people think that are investable, right?
Mhm.
And so focus on that first, and then go after venture if that's something that you really want to do. But in my opinion, majority of people should not be building venture businesses. Like it's so different. Like the aspirations are so different. It's just a different type of company altogether. Not that anyone can't do it, but like, is that going to fulfill you? Majority of people are it's not going to be fulfilling, right? That's not the grand scheme. If I want to build a $5 billion company, that's not the goal most people are after. The goal that people are after are, how do I take care of my life? How do I build wealth for my family? How do I actually make sure that I have financial freedom so that when I retire, I don't have to rely on a pension or something, right? Those are the things that people are truly after. And whether you build a unicorn or not, I mean, the goal is, how do I actually get to that so that I can make decisions for myself and everyone around me?
Yeah, for sure. I think too, the idea of like venture in terms of like venture being the only route is so tied to a period of time where building was so expensive and the cost to
100%.
build is
100%. Yeah. I mean, and to be frank, like right now, I mean, I went through Techstars, so technically I'm a venture-backed company. I really wouldn't call it that. But I'm in this space where I'm like, I actually do think I want to build the unicorn. And so part of me is like, well, let's see what the next year is in the next 6 months. It might be a path that I decide to take just because I see the ripple effects across the entire ecosystem that I want to have an impact on, in addition to taking care of my family. And so there's no right or wrong. It's just, what are your aspirations? What are you trying to achieve? And, you know, many steps every single day.
yeah. And that idea that like not building a venture-backed company does not mean that your company is not successful. I think that
No.
people for sure need to hear that.
If I build $1 million company and it just stays $1 million, that's a great living. I've built a company I'm proud of. My kids are fed. Their college tuitions are taken care of. I can retire at a decent age. And if I wanted to exit, I can exit for 4x multiple.
Yeah. And you could buy berries at the grocery store and eggs.
Exactly. And maybe the new bicycle we're getting my child for her birthday.
But that, I mean, that's what it is. Like I think that sometimes like the bottom floor, like we feel like the bottom floor has to be this unicorn. It's got to be this $50 million company. It's got to be a $10 million company. Like, what if it's just what if it is a company that supports your life and aligns with your life?
Yeah. $250,000 every year, $250K with your expenses. You're taking home at least 150. That's a damn good life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it gives you the opportunity if you want to try something else.
100%. 100%.
That's how you get a serial entrepreneur. You just keep going and going. You're like, well, this was great, but I'm going to do this. And then you're at your fifth company.
You become me. I think this is probably my last big one. I have different stems that I want to go into. I actually do want to play a part in the venture side down the future and see if I can kind of change it based on what I'm learning at Theanna. And then I also want a nonprofit for young girls. I want to teach them how to build companies. My daughter is 9 and she's so obsessed with learning. She has OCD like her mother, of course. And I want to see how I can do that for young girls. How do I teach them to be entrepreneurial?
Mm-hmm. I love that. And teach them to make mistakes and break things and go fast and be loud and do all the things that you
lean into their own. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, let people know where they can find you and all of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty much every social media channel I'm on. TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, Threads. I'm not on Twitter. I will never be on Twitter, I don't think. But yeah, follow me, connect with me, to come join Theanna if you're building. I'd love to support you.
That's awesome. Well, I will link everything in the show notes so people can find you. And hopefully there's some budding entrepreneurs that are like, hey, let's go. Let's see what we got. So
yeah.
Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Ashley.